Hello, students, and welcome to the greatest day of your life. Today, we're going to talk about the Pax Romana. What does the Pax Romana mean? It literally translates to the peace of Rome. So today, we're going to talk about peace like this kind of peace, not like a piece of a cookie or a piece of a puzzle. There's not going to be any warfare. There's not going to be any overthrows or anything like that. It's just going to be the peace of Rome, which means we're going to talk about some frou-frou stuff like some art, some literature, all that good stuff that really makes humanity human. Augustus, the first ever emperor of Rome, his 41-year reign marked the beginning of a 207-year era of peace, wealth, and expansion known as the Pax Romana, or the Roman peace, or the peace of Rome. It's from about 27 BC to 180 AD. So if you see this little section right here is the peace of Rome, or the Pax Romana. Okay, so that's the period of time we're talking about, and it gets ushered in by Augustus. So what are some of the major achievements of the Pax Romana? Well, one, the empire strengthened its central government. That means like the main power, like think Washington, D.C. is strengthened. People respect it. People, in a sense, fear it. People pay tribute to it, that it really has control of its nation. And that allows for a stable condition for trade, because people aren't looting people on the roads, or really destroying trade vessels. And it allows communication to flourish, because with a strong central government and a strong sense of authority, there's just more peace in the empire. It protected and governed individual provinces. It permitted each to make and administer its own laws while accepting Roman taxation and military control. So again, one of the unique things about Rome, just in general, is that it allows provinces to rule itself just as long as they pay tax, and kind of in return, Rome will protect them. So it's an empire made up of individual nations that really fall under that one central government that we talked about. And through state sponsorship, Romans made great achievements in architecture, engineering, and the arts. So state sponsorship means the government paid for it. So the government really wanted to promote the arts, architecture, and innovative technology. So let's move into what some of that was. So Roman architecture, it continued the legacy left by the earlier Greek architects of the world, meaning columns and pillars and domes and arches. And so let's move into some specifics of that. Probably the greatest architectural achievement, maybe in the ancient world and definitely in Rome, was the Colosseum. This is where those gladiatorial fights would happen that we talked about. It would hold anywhere between 50 to 80,000 people. This is created without any cranes, without any technology, without any electric power, just straight man and animal power. They had a pretty complicated seating arrangement. They had an understanding of how the voice would travel. So a man could be standing in the middle of the arena, or the emperor could be standing off to the side, and you could still hear his voice without a microphone. It was some pretty incredible stuff. Here's kind of gives just a grand scape of what it really looked like. They also created the Forum, which was the center of their government, kind of like their Capitol building, which is also just a huge achievement for any country to have, or empire to have, a Capitol building where only government is held. We're not talking about a palace. We're not talking about a mansion. We're talking about a Capitol building. The Forum was a big deal. And then also the Pantheon. The Pantheon was kind of a tribute to the Parthenon of ancient Greece, but while the Parthenon was for just Athena, the Pantheon literally means to all gods. So this was the Romans' tribute to all of their gods. It was their temple to them. And again, it's an incredible architectural achievement. And even more incredibly, it survives. Rome is eventually going to fall, obviously. They're not the Roman Empire anymore. But it survives all the invasions and all the sacks and fire set to Rome. It survives all of that. So that's a pretty impressive ordeal. And it has a giant dome in the middle, which, again, I encourage you guys, just go try to create a dome-like structure. Maybe get some popsicle sticks or something other than like clay. Like get a hard rock and stack those up into a dome. It is crazy how one would create a dome in the ancient world, but they were able to do it, and they were able to do it very successfully. The art. So their artwork in ancient Rome was a blend from the idealized perfection of earlier classical Greek sculpture with a greater aspiration for realism and idealism. Here you see a statue of Augustus, and they create mosaics, which is also going to become even more important later in the Byzantine Empire. But mosaics are pretty much like little pieces of colored glass or stone or whatever material, and they're put together to make a bigger picture. Like here you see these fish, and here you see this kind of like warrior-like scene. So that's what their artwork was based off of, was a realism of sculptures and mosaics. Okay. They also created the aqueducts. The aqueducts are crazy. This is a picture of them right here. They're built at this like incredibly shallow slope because they're carrying fresh water for hundreds of miles. So you can't go super steep or else it's just going to rush into the city. But you can't be flat or else it's not going to flow. So it's this like incredibly slight slope that brings fresh water into Rome. And this is a huge idea. Not only does it give like fountains and toilets and plumbing, but it gives fresh drinking water and a steady supply of it without having to have access to your own well. It's state-sponsored fresh water. And they use those arches here to span those rivers or any body of water, or really just anything that obstructed the Roman aqueduct. They now have the technology of arches to span those obstacles. They also create the Roman roads. They're long, straight roads built by the Romans wherever they conquered. So now they have access to their conquered people and to whatever supplies they might be able to get from them. It encouraged trade. It encouraged easy movement through the empire. Troops were able to move very quickly. Instead of having to basically hike to their destination, they could just travel by road. And it allowed for the spread of ideas. A lot of people say that Christianity was able to spread so rapidly because of the Roman road system. Here is a map of just all the Roman roads. Pay attention to the places not controlled by Rome and how many roads they have. That would be 0. Roads were an enormous idea. Again, just imagine instead of, now they didn't have cars, but imagine taking a wagon or a cart down I-95. Would that be easier? Or now imagine going to some sort of hiking route or some sort of running trail with roots and dirt, and which one would be easier? The I-95 would be exponentially easier and make you actually maybe want to travel. That's what the road system did, or the road system did. Literature in ancient Rome, their two most famous authors are Virgil and Cicero. Virgil was a great poet who wrote the Aeneid, which is about the founding of Rome with Romulus and Remus, and Rome's mission to civilize the world. And they said they can do all because they think they can. Basically, Thomas the Train. And then Cicero was a statesman, a lawyer, a scholar, and a writer. He wrote books of rhetoric, which is how to speak. He wrote speeches. He was a philosopher. He wrote political treatises. He wrote letters. And his most famous quote is, "More is lost by indecision than wrong decision. Indecision is the thief of opportunity. It will steal you blind." So almost it's better to make a decision and fail than to not make a decision at all. You guys will read about him in college. He's a very famous writer and very famous philosophical thoughts. Okay, so what are Rome's contributions to Western society? One, all the modern Romance languages, Italian, Spanish, French, Portuguese, and Romanian, can trace their origins to Latin, which was the language that Rome spoke. Our form of government, our republic, and our policy of governing is all from Rome. Christianity developed in Rome. Social classes, the tension between the rich and the poor, the patricians and the plebeians, is from Rome. Classical art and architecture, columns, pillars, arches, domes, all from ancient Rome. And the inventions of the roads, the aqueducts, and concrete is all from Rome. Okay. So key points to remember about the Pax Romana. The Gold Age of Rome is from 27 BC to 180 AD. Romans thought they ruled the entire civilized entire civilized world. They enjoyed military dominance at this time, which military dominance does often lead to peace, ironically. The population of the city of Rome reached 1 million people. Trade increased, which increased wealth, and the arts flourished. So that is your lesson today on the Pax Romana. Hope you guys are having a great time. We're kind of nearing the end of the school year, so stay focused, and let's end with a bang.